Hello and welcome to another edition of Capper Comparison Picks. I'm Ranj, and today I have a special guest, Vlad, the Bulgarian Cowboy from UFC Celebrities and Classics, and we're going to discuss the Capper Comparison Picks for UFC Vegas 18, aka also known as Vegas or UFC Fight Night 184. So Vlad, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me, Kepper, to the show, and I'm a bit honored for being your first guest, as you're my first member. So it sounds like a great deal to me. I'm well, according to many, one and only Bulgarian MMA commentator, interviewer, podcaster that is, let's say, approved in the Western world. So I'm very, very glad to be here today.
And it's a pleasure to have you. Okay, so I have 22 cappers, 22 handicappers to write on this board, so I have to get right to it. And we're going to save your pick for last, okay?
Okay.
All right. So starting out for the co-main event at bantamweight, we have Corey Sandhagen. He has a professional record of 13-2. He's the big favorite here. I think the odds my last time I checked, it was minus 365 favorite for Corey Sandhagen. They may have moved. I think I had it opened at minus 415. Frankie
Edgar is mine.
400?
Yes, minus 400 is the odd at my website.
Okay, and then Frankie Edgar comes in. He's, veteran record of 24-8-1. And he's the underdog at plus 300. This is set for 2.5 round total. If you think it's going to go over 2.5 rounds, like go the distance, you have to pay a lot of juice. It's minus 220. If you think it's going to stop short of 2.5 rounds, plus 180. Okay, so there's a lot of cappers today, so I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to mention a couple notes. Corey Sandhagen. The Sandman, he's got a 5-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. He's fighting out of the Elevation Fight team that's in Colorado. So those guys from Elevation are believed to have better cardio, gas tanks, because the air, right? Am I right? Because the elevation, the air is different, the oxygen levels or something.
Yeah, it's different, and they have something many people forget about. The wind is different. The direction of the wind is different. That's very important in strength and conditioning. The direction of the wind is very, very important. I learned it in college, so you are absolutely right.
That's awesome.
No, really, I finished Bachelor Science. This is very important, especially when it blows uphill. When the wind goes uphill, it's at least 3 to 4 times harder to train.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people from the Elevation Fight team, of course, we've got Alistair Overeem, we'll talk about later, but they have Justin Gaethje trains there, and Curtis Blades, Neil Magny, and Drew Dober. Those are other notable people from Elevation Fight team. Now, a little bit on Frankie Edgar, the answer. Frankie Edgar is fighting out of, well, this is the thing. It says on Tapology, it says out of Ricardo Almeida Jiu-Jitsu in Toms River, New Jersey. But then I watched Fight Night Picks. That's the brothers, the Allen brothers, Canadian guys. And they said on their show that he's fighting out of Nick Cantone MMA, which is also in New Jersey. He could be fighting out of both. I don't know. But anyway, Frankie Edgar, he's coming off a win over Pedro Munoz. I believe that was a split decision, and that was back in August. And here's a couple notes I wrote down. Frankie Edgar is number 1 in the UFC record book for total fight time. He's at 7 hours, 41 minutes. That's how much, number 1 for total fight time. He's only been, in his record, 24-8-1. He's only been knocked out twice, never been submitted, and he also has the third most strikes landed with 2,339. It goes Max Holloway's number 1. I think maybe I forget who's number 2, but then number 3 is Frankie Edgar. And he has the third most decision victories by decision. So Frankie Edgar, he's got a lot of accolades, a lot of, mad respect for Frankie Edgar. Okay, now let's get into these picks. Oh, I forgot to mention Corey Sandhagen's coming off his win against Marlon Moraes. He had the wheel kick knockout, right?
Yeah, a wheel kick.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's see what these cappers have to say. Okay, I'm going to go back and forth until we run out. The favorite, of course, will have probably more cappers on his side. Okay, first we've got the MMA Guru. That is the one with the knit cap. He's from the UK. He's saying Sandhagen by TKO. Then taking Frankie Edgar, we have it's your boy Ebays. Ebays lives in California, and I like Ebays. He's good. He's saying second round submission. I like when they get detailed with their method of how they're gonna win. I love that. Burt MMA. He's also saying Sandhagen by decision. Then taking Edgar, we've got Robbie from Raw MMA News. MMA, Robbie. However, his producer, the other guy on Raw MMA News, is taking Sandhagen. So we'll go Raw MMA producer. He never says his name, he just calls him the producer. Okay, we've got I'll throw another one over here. James Lynch. He works for odds.com, does a lot of interviews. He's saying Sandhagen by decision. Brady, DFS by the numbers. That's Brady. He's also involved with odds.com. He's saying by knockout. Then Leighton is from UFC Gambling Addicts. I like Leighton. He does like that motivational speak in the middle of his fight card breakdown. He said this is his most confident pick on the entire card is Corey Sandhagen. He didn't say method of victory though. Jumping back over here, we got both the Matt and Craig from Fight Night picks. Both Allen brothers. Then we've got Hype Check. His name is Levi. He's in a team of like 5 other guys, I think. 4, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 other guys. We've got MMA Fortune Teller. The Teller. He's handicapped out of Florida, lives right down the street from American Top Team. He also does interviews. Coincidentally, most of them are from American Top Team because he lives right down the road. Easy. He sees those guys at like Walmart. Okay, next we have do you have Walmart in Serbia?
Yeah, we do. We do have
Walmart?
Yes.
Huh. That's neat. I just never. Do you have like fast food chains, restaurants there?
We just have maybe a few Walmarts, but fast food.
You have like a McDonald's. Do you have McDonald's?
Yes. We have a lot of McDonald's restaurants.
Okay, I just don't know how to picture Serbia. I'm sorry, Serbia. I don't know how to picture Serbia. I was just curious about that. So, what's your local grocery store? Is that like is that a regional thing, or do you go to Walmart?
Yes, it's a regional thing. We have Maxi and Diamond. These are regional things, like the same like Walmart, but we don't have. You can't buy big portions. If you want to buy big portions, then you have to go to Lidl. This is from Germany. They arrived from Germany maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, Aldi too. Do you have Aldi? That's from Germany.
What?
Aldi, ALDI.
We don't have them. We only have Lidl.
Little.
Yes.
Okay, I was just sorry to go off topic. I was just curious, man. You know. Okay, back to this King of Crackdowns. He's saying Sandhagen by decision. Will Martin, he's Scottish, I think. I definitely know he's from the UK. He's saying TKO, round 2. MMA Parlay King. I'm a new fan of his. I just started using him this week, but I instantly already like him. He's a good guy. He's a fighter, or he was a fighter, or something. His nickname is the Fighting Guru. I don't know his real name, so I couldn't tell you if he was a real. I don't know if he was in a regional scene or what, but he looks like he is a fighter just by looking at his videos. Just Bleed MMA. He is an odds.com handicapper. Another odds.com handicapper, MMA Lock of the Night. He's from Canada. His name is Manpreet. He's saying by decision. Look at all the research I got to do, Vlad. All this is crap I have to watch videos of. We have pro MMA betting. See, this is all the cappers I use for everything. For early prelim, that's when I used you, right? And then prelim, then main card, then the replacement fight card. Because, a lot of the fights like the Odie, Osborne, original fight was against Dennis Bondar, which he would have got killed. Now he's going to probably win against Jerome Rivera, right? What do you think about that? I didn't see your update.
Yeah, I did an update, and I know Jerome Rivera is transitioning 2 divisions up, but don't forget that Jerome Rivera has a great ability to keep the fight on distance. On the other side, Odd Osborne has to trade inside the pocket to win the fight, and it's not going to be an easy job against Jerome Rivera. I know this is kind of a mismatch for Jerome Rivera because he's transitioning 2 divisions up, but I still give fair chances to Jerome Rivera. I predict a very tough fight. Yeah, against Bondar he would probably got himself killed, but against Jerome,
I agree.
Yeah, but against Jerome Rivera, I predict, if it's a 3-round fight, I predict this might go into round 3. I don't think Jerome Rivera has knockout power for Rod Osborne, but I believe Jerome Rivera has maybe 52% to win this fight. If he keeps it standing, if he doesn't trade barbs inside the pocket. Not going to be an easy job, but I think he can do it, But Todd Osborne is going to be way stronger. So I think it's like 50-50, but anyway, big fan of Jerome Rivera, so sorry, man.
No, that's fine. Good. I think Odd Osborne will come out on top of that, but I like when people take the underdog. I'm a big fan of underdogs.
Plus, if you ask me for my real prediction, if I don't have to pick a fighter, I say plus 1.5.
Okay. I know. I heard you. He's fine now. All right. Let me get back to this, Nor. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Where did I leave off? MMA prediction guru. He's also odds.com. It was his birthday on Friday night, so he wasn't on the recap show, but he's saying by decision.
My fan BC Dave is sending you regards, Kepper.
Oh, I like BC Dave, the skier from British Columbia. His ski mountain is his backyard. He's a good dude. His videos are comforting. I fall asleep to him sometimes. But anyway, yeah, BC Dave. Guys, subscribe to BC Dave. His link will not be in the description because he's not a capper, but he's a cool dude. Finally, to finish this side off, I've got the MMA gambling expert, all caps. He's relatively new to me, but I like his work. He puts a spreadsheet down that he makes on the computer, and he puts each fighter, just like I'm doing, comparison, but he compares their striking, their jiu-jitsu, their wrestling, their cardio. He does that with a 5-star system that he makes. Like this one, he gave Edgar actually Edgar, he gave him the more in the wrestling, and but anyway, Sandhagen was his final pick. But
Yeah, just like me in my Chudesno podcast. Just like me, 5 out of 5. And fans are choosing. Just MMA gambling expert is choosing, I guess. This kind of reminds me of that system.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing. I like that thing where you do the accuracy and the or not. You do the clinching, striking. What is
clinch
it?
Game. Clinch game. Clinching and clinch game is not the same. Clinching can be anything. Clinch game is related to elbows, knees, throws, but it's not related to submission game.
Right. It's like a kickboxing clinch.
More of a Muay Thai
like
clinch.
Muay Thai
yeah, Muay Thai clinch. But if it discuss MMA clinch, flying submissions are allowed too. And I rate that under BGG or submission game.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was in. I did you do those live. I remember I sneak in at work because I'm at work. I really can't. But I sneak in and say hi, And I like that one where you had the fictitious fights, like George St. Pierre versus Kamaru Usman, right? and you had Hoist Gracie versus Damian Maia, right? Yes. That's a good one too. That's fun. That was entertaining. Definitely, you guys check that out. I mean, what are they called? What did you call them? What are those?
In Bulgarian, it means wonderful. It's Chudesno. It means wonderful. Who would do better? Who would do better? Who would win a fictive fight? But now I'm gonna start adding some real fights, because fans want some real fights, and I will start adding it this Monday. I will also have the podcast, but I don't know exact time yet because of my obligations. I have another work, and you know how it is.
And you're 6 hours ahead. So when do you usually do that? When, like in the morning times?
I usually do it around 3 p.m.
Like your time. My time, I know it's 3. When do you?
9,
what time?
9.
Oh, you're ahead. Right. That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
I will announce on Instagram. Yeah, go ahead.
We've got Greedo Plays. Greedo, he does a lot of video gaming things, but he also does great UFC full card pick videos. And this one, he's got Edgar winning by decision. Frankie Edgar's a legend. Community MMA. This guy's name is Chris Cross, the Community. He does every fight separately. He's saying Edgar by decision. And finally, Clint from MMA Die Hard Podcast. Clint at Die Hard MMA Pod or something like that. Clint, he works for odds.com too. He's saying the dog or pass because the line is so wide, and Frankie Edgar's getting insulted by being such an underdog. So he said he's taking Edgar just because of dog or pass, like underdog or pass, strictly on. He thinks Edgar. He said he's gonna. This is the last time, but I think he thinks Edgar can get it done here for the big upset. Okay, Vlad, I'm going to give it to you now. What's your pick on Corey Sandhagen, the Sandman, versus Frankie the Answer Edgar?
Well, I already did a prediction for that fight, and I'm pretty much confident in Corey Sandhagen because, in the fact, I assume you watched the fight between Jose Aldo and Frankie Edgar, and if you've noticed, there are some similarities in fighting style of Jose Aldo and Corey Sandhagen when it comes to kicks to the. When it comes to kicks, when it comes to kicks to the thigh, when it comes to stuffing takedowns. And Frankie Edgar usually attacks with double leg takedown, if you've noticed that. I assume you did, but you come from BGG. You know that part better. Do you agree with me?
I've even met Frankie Edgar because I trained in Philadelphia, which is very close to Toms River. Well, it's about 2-hour drive from New Jersey, from Toms River, New Jersey. So I did meet, but this was back in 2005, when he was just like pretty much new on the professional fighting scene. But yeah, you're right. But the thing is, Frankie Edgar, like, remember I mentioned that 7 hours 7 hours and 41 minutes of fight time, number one. I mean, he can grind out fights. I know that you said even in your video, I watched your video. You said if this was a different round, if this was a 5-round fight, you might have a different answer, right?
Absolutely. If this was a 5-round fight, I would definitely pick Frankie Edgar due to his insane levels of cardio. But there is one problem. Corey Sandhagen has longer limbs. Frankie Edgar has one technical problem. When he holds like this, when you go with the left head kick, Frankie Edgar is not doing this. He's defending like this. Very odd way to defend. I'm a striker coming from striking background. And I tell you, if you defend that high kick like this, you see what happens.
Yeah.
It's a kick. It's a hit.
Well, that's striker, grappler. I'm a grappler. And you know what? Corey Sandhagen has 30% takedown defense. Frankie Edgar is a beast. He's a wrestling beast. He's definitely, I say his wrestling's 5-star. Corey Sandhagen's a brown belt in BJJ. That people seem to miss that. But Frankie Edgar, he's black belt. And I just think on the ground, that's why I'm going to go against. I'm taking the underdog here. Plus, I like the value. That's pushing me. That's swaying me. And Frankie Edgar he's a legend. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame for UFC. So my pick is Frankie Edgar. I think he's going to get it done. I think he's going to get it done by decision. How do you think this is going to end? Do you think it's going to? You think Corey Sandhagen could knock him out?
No, I don't think Corey Sandhagen has knockout power for the guy like Frankie Edgar, but I believe Corey Sandhagen can brawl. I believe he can swarm all over the place. But first and basic thing, when Frankie Edgar starts shooting in, keep your hips up. That's your first thing. Just keep your hips up. Because Frankie Edgar attacks very low.
Frankie Edgar is old. I will tell you that. His age, like BC Dave, Frankie Edgar is 39 and Corey Sandhagen is 28. So there is a big age difference. But you know what? He's 39. He's almost 40. But anyway, the thing is, the ground control, the time on the ground, he's going to smother him. He's got, like you said, he's got the long legs. They're inviting for takedowns. He's going to take him down. He's going to smother him. That clock is going to start ticking with the control time on the ground. When it gets to the judges' scorecards, it's going to be either significant strikes from Corey Sandhagen or control time from Frankie Edgar. That's what's going to weigh out the decision. And I seem to think Frankie Edgar is going to come out on top with that wrestling control time.
Absolutely. I told you, if this was a 5-round fight, I would definitely pick Frankie Edgar because of his wrestling, because of his mowing ability and such things. Other than that, I'm picking Sandhagen because I think his gas tank is... I think he's not going to run out of gas in 3 rounds, but in 5 rounds versus Edgar on the ground, this would be a nightmare for him.
Yeah, I think Frankie Edgar knows it's going to be a 3-round fight. He's going to just come in hard. He's going to be very progressive. He's going to keep coming forward. And Sam, yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a great fight, and I'm looking forward to it. But let's move on. I got to tilt the camera a little bit.
Yeah,
moving on to. Can you see that? Good.
Yeah.
Moving on to the main event, we've got. Oh boy, this is going to be this was the hardest for me to pick on the entire card, definitely right here. At heavyweight, we have Demolition Man, Alistair Overeem, taking on Drago, Alexander Volkov. Overeem's coming off a win against Augusto Sakai, a TKO ground and pound. Alexander Volkov coming off a win against Walt Harris. I think it was a kick to the solar plexus. Let's see. Notes, like I mentioned earlier, Alistair Overeem is from Elevation Fight Team. But his nationality is he's from the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, but he was born in UK, in Hounslow, England. That's where he was born, but he fights under the flag of Netherlands.
Huh, that's interesting. But he's fighting out of Denver, Colorado, Elevation Fight Team with Corey and, all the guys I mentioned earlier. So, oh, here's something in the records, UFC record books. #1 in significant strike accuracy, Alistair Overeem. 74.8% significant strike accuracy. That's #1. The second one is a female fighter, and she's at like 65%. I forget who it was. I should have wrote it down, but #2 is like a whole 9% lower than Alistair Overeem. That's significant strike accuracy. So his powerful strikes, they're landing. That's what that says. You have to wait till I'm done with the video, okay? Okay, Alistair Overeem, he started in like 1999, I think. He's been, with 47-18 records. Okay, I'm going to throw in a couple of notes about Alexander Volkov. He's obviously Drago. He's fighting out of Russia. He's got a 3-inch height advantage. Now, that's key to a lot of these cappers. They mentioned that Overeem does not like to fight guys that have a little bit of height on him. I don't know. There's 18 losses to figure out if that's a stat that works. But Volkov is fighting out of the Strela team. I don't know of Russian fighters, so I couldn't tell you. I looked at the list, but I couldn't tell you if there's any UFC fighters on that list because I'm not that familiar with them. But that's about all I got for that. Let's get right into, there's, like I said, a lot of cappers here. I'm going to go back and forth on this, and then we'll finish off with Vlad's pick. Okay, so taking Alistair Overeem, we've got Chris Cross from Community MMA. All these links will be in the description. I'm just going to copy paste from my older videos, but they'll all be there. I'll update the ones that are single fight videos. MMA gambling expert, all one word. He's got Volkov on this. Oh, I got to change markers. This one's starting to get dry.
Oh, everything's fine.
Okay, back here we got Greedo. Greedo plays. He's saying Overeem by TKO. This is, Overeem's. He wants to go out as he said if he wins, he wants to leave as a champ. But if he loses this, he might be just done. I don't blame him. He's 40 years old. Oh yeah, 40. Volkov, 32. If age is a factor, there's 8 years for you. I'm just saying. Okay, we've got Just Bleed MMA. He's saying by decision. Just Bleed is another odds.com guy. There's so many of them, of the odds.com, but they're all good. And I like that they all have different opinions too. Prediction Guru, another odds.com guy. He's saying by decision. Then Hype Check. Hype Check, he says by KO, but it's going to happen in the later rounds. So I'm going to put KO and the over. Okay. Now this is good because the Fight Night Pick brothers, they got in disagreement with this. We got the older brother, Craig, is taking Overeem. That's Craig Allen. His brother Matt is on the side of Volkov. I like when they're, because that makes for a better, on their end it makes for a better show because they're both arguing why they're why Volkov's better and Craig's arguing why Overeem's better. So that makes for a better show for me.
Thank you, reminded me of that. I'll have to call Craig to be my guest then.
Then we have Manpreet Lock of the Night, another odds.com guy, also taking Overeem. He's also a Canadian too. A lot of Canadian handicappers. Like you interviewed Z's MMA, he's Canadian. We got the Fight Night Pick guys, they're Canadian. A Lock of the night. He's a Canadian. There's a bunch of Canadian handicappers. Clint is, I think, Clint's from Arizona. Never mind. What's Brady? Where's he? DFS by the numbers. He's right here. He's taking Volkov by KO. I'm not sure where he's from. MMA fortune teller. He's on the side of Alistair Overeem. Oh boy. King of Crackdowns. He's saying third round TKO. That's a good pick. I like when people get specific with the rounds and everything.
BC Dave says Aranj has worst marker luck, and he is pinpointing with the flag of Canada.
What?
BC Dave, just check a comment.
Yeah, my markers, I know they suck. I burned through them. Look at how much I got let me show you something. These are all
Dave, we will
these are all
respond
black markers that I burnt through.
Dave, we will respond that question when we come to my prediction.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard to me to handle the chat. Thanks, Vlad, for keeping me up to date with that stuff. It's hard to do that when I'm writing. Okay, where was I? Okay, Leighton from UFC Gambling Addicts. He's saying decision. This was just like me. It was his hardest pick on the card. This one is on Tapology. You can make the predictions, method of victory, and all that through the whole list. This I flew through it until I got to this one. I've edited my pick like 3 times for this fight. This is going to be a good one. It's going to be a banger. Okay, now I'm down here. Raw MMA News. That's Robbie and the producer. Both those guys. They're from Ireland. Raw MMA News. Robbie and the producer. They're right out of Dublin. I think they live by Conor McGregor. Not now because he's rich, but Burt MMA. He's saying TKO in the early first or second round. I'll just write first, whatever. Back over here, we've got MMA Parlay King. That's he's my new buddy. I'm not sure where he's out of, but he's the one that he's a former fighter. So he gets right, kind of like you do with the striking and the he gets into all the technical fighter view, how the fighters viewing the fight.
Well, you noticed when I do fight commentary, many people talk about, I pick that one. I'm only focusing on the technical part of the fight when the fight is on.
Right. Yeah. Also taking now the rest of these guys, I'm going to tell you, they're going with the favorite. Volkov is the favorite at -195. So usually there's hardly ever, well, some cases, but most of the times, if people in doubt, they go with the favorite. So I'm just going to write these down quickly. We've got James Lynch. I imagine he's interviewed somebody, one of these guys. I don't know. He always he interviews the most out of everybody on YouTube. I can vouch for that because I watch everybody.
James Lynch and John Hyun Ko, the two of them interviewed the most. James Lynch and John Hyun Ko.
Guy, John, yeah. Except he doesn't do predictions, but he does a lot of interviews.
Yeah, from South Morning China Post, I think. I forgot the name of the news, but he was my guest. He is an amazing guy. He and James Lynch are the best guys because they are so much down to earth,
Right. And and remember on your interview, I was saying how some handicappers, as soon as they interview somebody, they're biased to that person if they don't interview the other. Remember I said that? James Lynch, he's not. He'll pick against the guy, no problem.
KFC fight card. I picked against Haim Ghazali, and Haim Ghazali was my 5th interview. My 5th interview in the beginning, and I was so confident that he was gonna lose because he's BJJ guy. And then bang, right hand, McAllister down McAllister goes. Ghazali wins via TKO, and everybody was shocked.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, back to this. Will Martin, I think he's from Scotland, definitely from the UK. He says TKO late, like 4th or 5th round. Pro MMA betting, he's also from the UK. It's your boy eBays. He says 4th round TKO. And wrap it all up. Last we've got a couple more. We've got the Knit Cap Guru, MMA Guru. He said TKO 2nd round. And finally, my man Clint from Die Hard MMA Podcast is also taking Volkov. He said this is his biggest bet of the entire year so far. He put 7 units on Volkov. He never makes bets that big, but yeah, he said he put 7 units on Volkov. That's how confident he is that Volkov is going to beat Alistair Overeem. Okay, now I'm going to hand it over to you, Vlad. Give me your. I already know who you picked. Now go ahead and explain why.
I'm first going to answer Dave's questions because Dave will think we are ignoring him in the chat. So I promised. Think Volkov will take to the ground. If Volkov takes this fight to the ground, he is doomed. I'm going to be honest with you. He is doomed because, Dave, I know you are a very, very hard fan, a very die-hard fan of this sport. And you know that Overeem was literally killing people on the ground. You know his guillotine choke, which was so effective in the Pride. And you know it's very, very hard to defend it, especially for Sasha Volkov because he rarely does this. He rarely covers up like this or like this. So defending a guillotine choke without that move it's impossible, man. And notice that Alistair Overeem survived 1 round on the ground against Alexei Olenek, the greatest submission expert in the history of UFC heavyweight division. So it should speak something about him. It was a guy who defeated Victor Peshta via Isaac heel choke of the bottom. So it's the first Isaac heel choke of the bottom. And Alistair Overeem survived the ground game with that guy. And he finished him via stoppage. I was like, what the heck, man? I was thinking... But Alistair Overeem is actually very, very good at submissions. Even at submission game, I would give him 4.5 out of 5. And submission defense, I would give him 5 out of 5. And you know that I'm very strict when it comes to grading. And yeah, this is retirement fight for Reem. He has no fight options past this. If he loses, this could be the end of his career. So I think this is Overeem's last attack to the title. This is his last chance to become the champion. And now to explain this, I still think that Alexander Volkov is technically a better striker because he comes from Kyokushin, and Kyokushin karate is more like with technical strikes, with hitting with a different part of your foot, with a different part of your shin. But the point is, kickboxers hit harder. I come from kickboxing background, and I know then when the guy hits with a kickboxing shin, when the guy hits with the Muay Thai shin, and Alistair Overeem is a combination of kickboxing and Muay Thai. And believe me, when he hits you, when his shin touches your thigh, it's gonna hurt. But I don't see Alistair Overeem kicking to the legs because in the last few fights, we've seen that Alexander Volkov learned a bit about checking. You know, he's not just checking like this. He's doing this from time to time. And I assume he learned it from Fedor Emelianenko. If you watch Fedor's fight against Mirko Cro Cop, you know that Fedor, when Mirko goes for a left high kick, he was doing this. You probably watched that fight. And this was the first time in the history of this competition that somebody is doing that block, which I like to call Fedor's block. So Volkov started to learn a bit on it. And, you know, he might capitalize on Overeem if Overeem keeps doing leg kicks. So I think Overeem progressed a lot. He is not that wild guy from the early days, and now he's fighting very, very much tactically. In the case you've noticed against Augusto Sakai, this was an example of a perfectly tactical fight. His fight against Jairzinho Rozenstruik was also a perfect technical fight. He was leading 3-1, but then he got hit, and due to this lip injury, the ref waved it off. But I don't think it was a win for Rozenstruik. So if there is a tactical guy in this division, that's Alistair Overeem. Number 2, wrestling clinch. Do you know that wrestling clinch was removed from K1, especially due to Alistair Overeem when he was pummeling, landing those violent knees? People were losing the fights. For example, the fight against Javad Poturak. That was the last fight when they allowed it, then they removed it. And Alistair Overeem transitioned well with his wrestling clinch. You know what he did to Brock Lesnar. You watched that fight, right? Yeah, he watched that fight. So it was an example of perfect pummeling and a perfect wrestling clinch. So if the two of them clinch up, I think Volkov is going to get destroyed. So I think Volkov's only chance to win the fight is long-range fighting. Considering the fact that Reem's reach is, well, it's not small for a heavyweight. Volkov is longer, but if Reem enters inside the pocket, he's going to have advantage. Outside the pocket, it's definitely a massive advantage for Sasha Volkov. And Sasha Volkov improved his movement. His movement is now good. Now, analyzing ground game. If Volkov drags the fight to the ground, that's going to be the end of the road. You know what Augusto Sakai did. You know how Augusto Sakai tried to out-cardio Alistair Overeem. Not going to happen. Sasha Volkov is not a cardio machine. Plus, third round knockout. Do you remember that third round knockout? I think it was against Derek Lewis. Sasha Volkov, Derek Lewis. That punch in the dying seconds of the third round. I think it was against Derek Lewis. And I'm going to tell you, as the fight progresses, Volkov loses his focus. As the fight progresses, Alistair Overeem pushes the pace more and more and more. If the fight advances to championship rounds, that's going to be the end of Volkov. But if Volkov stops him early, it can happen. It can really happen. Now, I think Alistair Overeem is still more well-rounded fighter. If Volkov keeps the fight standing, he has the chances. But if the fight is dragged to the ground, Volkov doesn't have good submission defense, and everybody knows that. Volkov doesn't have good ground and pound. Volkov can hold you on the ground, but his ground and pound, compared to Overeem's hammer fists, to Overeem's big hooks, not going to work. Believe me, it's not going to work. So I still see Overeem as a more well-rounded fighter. I have two options. If Volkov wins, he has to win inside the first 3 rounds. If the fight advances to championship rounds, it's definitely going to be a victory for Overeem. Plus, if the fight is dragged to the ground, that's victory for Overeem. Analyzing all these parameters and considering that I'm a striking expert, I have to give slight advantage to Alistair Overeem. So I think this is a good dog pick. And I'm not picking this time by heart. I'm picking just by pure technical aspect of the game because I'm a fan of Volkov too. I mean, I'm a fan of Reem. I grew up on his fights, but I'm also a fan of Volkov because he has great Kyokushinkai background, especially this left Brazilian kick out of Kyokushin. So, yeah, that's what I'm trying to pinpoint. I'm going to give advantage to Volkov.
Awesome.
Sorry, no, Volkov, Overeem, sorry, Overeem.
There you go. I almost wrote it down there too.
Sorry, advantage to Overeem. Sorry, man.
That's all right.
I think Overeem wins in later rounds. How do you say Overeem championship rounds?
Yeah, championship
Either
rounds.
championship rounds or a decision.
Awesome. You know what? You just swayed my vote again for the 5th time. I was at the beginning. I was Volkov all the way. Like as soon as the lines came out, and for a minute I flipped to Overeem for a good half a day, and then I looked at it again. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I like Volkov. He's got the height advantage. And a lot of these guys are saying Overeem does not do very well against fighters that have a little bit of then that K1 thing you just told me, that's why I'm going to pick Volkov here. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm picking Overeem too because of the wrestling clinch you talked about in K1. That's information I had no idea. I'm glad you keep me up on that. So in K1 you're saying because of Alistair Overeem, they
prohibited that. They prohibited wrestling clinch. You know, this is not allowed anymore. You can hold one strike and goodbye. But earlier, Alistair Overeem was holding and he was pouring on with his knees. He was landing knee after knee, knee after knee. He was swarming all over the place with his knees. So they prohibited that. But then he transitioned to UFC and destroyed Brock Lesnar with body knees. You know, but it was also wrestling clinch.
But he was also on steroids too when he fought Brock Lesnar. Like, definitely.
Brock was on steroids too.
Oh, always. I think ever since college, they never stop. He eats them for breakfast, but that's why he's in what he's doing. Okay, so to recap, Nor.
Thank you for coming, Dave. Go for it.
Recap. Time check. To recap. I've got even though Vlad's taking Corey Sandhagen, I've got the big upset from Frankie the Answer Edgar. I think he's going to win it by decision because the ground control time is going to mount up and add up. And that's why I got him winning by decision. And finally, Vlad, the Bulgarian Cowboy, convinced me. Because of him, I'm taking Alistair Overeem because of the whole clinch, the whole wrestling clinch. Because of this and the K1 thing, that's all news to me. What's that?
It's called double collar tie or pummel or a Muay Thai clinch.
Yeah, Muay Thai clinch. So anyway, because of that, you made some good points in that. You swayed my opinion. Now I'm going to go with the underdog. I like underdogs too. And that I'm going to circle that plus 170 underdog. And this is, he's got to make it or break it. If he doesn't win here, he's done. He's done. He's not going to go to a lower Bellator. He's done. He's just going to retire, be done. But he's determined to go out a champ, and he might be able to. If he beats Volkov here, I see him going against maybe Ngannou. I have no idea. Who would you think if Alistair Overeem does get past Volkov here? Who do you think is a good opponent for him on his rise to a belt? If he wants to keep,
That's a very hard question because I think John Jones will get the next crack after these two guys. So I bet
you think it's Rosenstruck again.
I think Rosenstrike too should be a great option because I think Overeem won that fight.
Yeah, that I agree. I think so too. Okay, so there you have it. I appreciate everybody watching. Gather the info, place those bets, and cash those tickets. Vlad, it was a pleasure having you on my show for my very first live show ever. I think it was a success, even though we probably only had like 8 viewers or something. I don't know. I can't. This is the whole StreamYard brand new to me. Just started this morning, so I was just So bear with me for any Blades versus Reem.
Dave is saying Blades versus Reem. It makes sense, Dave. It makes sense. It makes sense. I completely forgot about Blades. If Overeem passed Volkov, yeah, it makes sense to fight Blades.
Now they're from the same fight team. So when they train to fight each other, would they train together to fight each other? You know what I'm saying? They're both from Elevation Fight Team. So how would that work? Does that, do people in the same training gym camp, do they normally fight each other?
Gilbert Kamaru.
Oh yeah, Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. Correct. That's interesting. Wonder if they train at different times of the day. Oh, I don't want to know his plan, so I'll do mornings and then you can do afternoons. I wonder if they do something like that. Just so, I don't know. It's just curious to me because inside, behind the gym door, what happens beyond on the mats in there? Those are the questions. Those are the insider secrets that people from the fight scene can give you. Anyway, I'm gonna end this broadcast now. I appreciate it, Vlad. We'll do this again. I enjoyed it. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any last plugs or anything?
What did you say? I didn't hear you.
Any last plugs? You want to plug something? You want to throw out shout outs, or you want to give any promotion to anybody, anything? Well, I know you got a Patreon. Go ahead, spill it.
I wanna say thanks for inviting me for this. And yeah, I have a Patreon. Just type UFC Celebrities and Classics. Also, you can join my channel. It's even the lowest level on my channel. I think it's $2, right?
Yeah, it is. It's $2. It's milk money. Go ahead, do it.
It's $2, and you see literally all my picks. You're gonna see all my picks.
What's your next tier up? What's your next tier after $2?
My next tier is $5. It's Southpaw sparring tips. If you're a Southpaw and if you want to outstrike the opponent, I know some very much dirty tricks from the world of striking. I have excessive taekwondo and kickboxing background, so many people say these strikes are working. You can ask Pay-Per-View Diesel, for example. You can ask many other guys. I mean,
are you familiar with Tong Soo Do? You know what that form of fighting is? Tong Soo Do?
No, sorry.
You know what it is? You're a Taekwondo black belt, right? It's the
Yep.
same thing, but it's the tradition. Taekwondo is like the sport version of this because you can judge Taekwondo. This is the original traditional self-defense of Korea. When that like the back centuries ago they developed this. Then Taekwondo derived from Tong Soo Do. Now you understand?
Yeah, I do. And generally, these levels can help people. My average score is 66 to 68% when it counts on everything. But for example, the score is rising right now, but I'm not always picking the money line, I'm picking the realistic part. I'm picking the technical part. That makes me very much different from other
Yeah,
fighters.
that's why I like you don't gamble. You just pick who you think's gonna the technical. Not you don't look at the lines. You don't care about that. That's why I value your opinion. There's a lot of these other handicappers. They'll like me too. I'm biased. I'm taking Freddie Edgar because he's plus 300. That's why I think I'm taking him a chance on that. I base a lot of my fights on lines. I gotta admit, I'm admitting to that. It's not worth my bet if they're a big favorite. Why would I put money -3? Or you said it's -400 in your book. Corey Sanders minus. Well, I wouldn't put $400 down to win 100. So I'm not going to pick him. I'm not going to root for him. I'm going to root for the money. That's But okay, we're dragging this on too long. But everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Check out Vlad. Subscribe to UFC Celebrities and Classics. Check out all these guys. I will put links for all these guys in the description. I think I can. I don't know. It's like I said, first time on StreamYard. If not, all my other videos leading up to this video have all these guys in there. Check them out, please. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like, all that good stuff. All right, Vlad, I'm going to end this broadcast. Thanks for coming by, and we'll do this again sometime, all right? Take care.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right.